This is the last lesson of Module 11. It's called Lesson 4, Find the Perimeter and Area on the Coordinate Plane. So we're taking everything we learned in the last 3 lessons and adding perimeter and area into it, which is going to be leading us into our next chapter. So let's make sure we know the difference between perimeter and area. Perimeter is the distance around a polygon, and then you add up all its sides. The area is everything on the inside. So let's head on down from there. Let's look at our first one. Right here, we have a rectangle, then it has a line in it, so it's separating it into two. What is the perimeter of quadrilateral ACDE? So let me write this out. Look at this, A, C, D, E. So that means we're dealing with this shape right here. Hopefully your lines look better if you drew it out. I'm going to erase it, so that way you knew what we were doing there. First thing we're going to do is find the perimeter. So what they did for us down here, got it nice and big for you now, is instead of counting, because remember, we're setting the basis of what to do when we can't count. So if I look here, we're looking at side AC. I know just by looking at it's going to be 4, but we have to figure out how that actually is 4. If I look at A, I run to -2 and I jump to 1. C, I run to +2 and I jump to 1. So we are using the first numbers in this because they're different. One's a -2, one's a +2. So the absolute value of -2 is 2. That we got the -2 right there. The absolute value of +2, which is right here in C, is 2. So from here to here is 4. Let's look from C to D. I already know the ordered pair for C. Let's look at the ordered pair for D. I run to 2, and I fall down to -2. So that means for C and D, I'm using the y coordinate because the x's are the same. The absolute value of 1 is 1. The absolute value of -2 is -2. Or sorry, is 2. So 1 plus 2 is 3. So far we have 4. We have 3. Now, it's a rectangle. So if this side's 4, this side has to be 4. If this side's 3, this side has to be 3. To find the perimeter, we're going to add all 4 of those sides together, and we get 14. So the perimeter of quadrilateral ACD is 14. Now, we're going to look at the top one. We have EGHD. So actually at the top one, the very big one, all the way across here. Now, I already know that ED is 4. So I know that GH is 4. One thing we have to find, though, on this one is from G to E. And I accidentally erased that, but let's put our ordered pair back for E. I ran backwards to -2 and I fell to -2. G, I ran backwards to -2 and I went 1, 2, 3. The number that's different are not our x's this time because both of those are -2. We're going to look at our y's. We have a 3 and a -2. So we're going to find the absolute values of that. The absolute value of 3 equals 3. The absolute value of -2 is 2. We're going to add those together and we get 5. So this side is 5. We are finding the area. To find the area of a rectangle is area equals length times width. So 5 on this side and 4 down here. 5 times 4 is 20 units squared. Let's make sure that's all they wanted down there. Yep, that's all it is. So let's look at the other side now. Graph a rectangle with vertices. I'm going to have to zoom out just slightly here, so I can get the whole thing on there. There we go. I'm going to graph this rectangle. And I'm going to move to black dots. First one, I'm running to 2, I'm falling to -2. Got that one done. Running to 8, falling to -2. Running to 8, falling all the way down to -9. Running to 2, falling all the way down to -9. I'm going to then go 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm going to go ahead and erase these check marks because I need to look at these. Our first one right here, 2, -2. This one was 8, -2. This one was 8, -9. And this one was 2, -9. And I put all the ordered pairs next to them so I can find what I need to easily. So to get from here to here, if I look at my first numbers, I have a 2 and an 8. So that means I'm going to find the absolute values of those. The absolute value of 2 is 2. The absolute value of 8 is 8. Since they're in the same quadrant, I'm actually going to subtract them. So I get 6. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this side length is 6. If this side length is 6, so is this one down here. Now let's look from here to here. This is an 8. This is an 8. We aren't going to use that because it's the same number. We are going to use the second number. The absolute value of -9 is 9. We got the -9 from right here. Now we're going to look at the -2. The absolute value of -2 is 2. Remember, we're in the same quadrant, so we're going to subtract them and we get 7. So the distance here is 7. Let's count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This side 7, this side 7. To find the perimeter, we're going to add them all together. So 6 plus 6 plus 7 plus 7. We get a 12 plus 14, which is 26 units. To find the area, we're taking area equals length times width. So we have 6 times 7, which is 42 units squared. Okay, we're going to find the length of the segment with the given endpoints. So this time we don't have any graphs to deal with. So there's 2 problems here. We have one here and one here. And in this case, we're going to use the x's because they're different. The y's, you notice they're both 3, so we can't use those. The absolute value of 17.1 is 17.1. The absolute value of 21.4 is 21.4. Now, everything here is positive, so they're in the same quadrant, meaning we have to subtract. So we're going to take 21.4 and we're going to subtract it by 17.1, and I got 4.3 as my answer. This one, before we start, let's see if they're in the same quadrant. Both of these are negative, only one of these are negative, so these are indifferent. So that means we're going to add. And we're going to look at the second number. We have the absolute value of 12.5, and we have the absolute value of 16.5. The absolute value of -12.5 is 12.5. The absolute value of 16.5 is 16.5. We said they were in different ones, so we're adding them. And take my calculator, I'm going to add those together. 12.5 plus 16.5. I got 29 on that one. Last one on the side. A blueprint of a rectangular pool is shown. What is the area of the perimeter of the pool? So we need to find the distance. So if I look here, these are both positive. This is a negative and a positive, so they're in different ones, so we're going to add them. And I'm going to look at the first number on this one because the second number is the same. The absolute value of negative 12.5 is 12.5. The absolute value of 10.5 is 10.5. So I'm going to add those together. Get 23. So if this side's 23, this side's 23. Let's change our color. And I'm going to do a side now. Because since it's a rectangle, whatever one side is, the other side's going to be. In this case, the first numbers are 10.5, so I'm not going to use those. I'm going to use the second numbers. And they're both have positive numbers, so we're going to be subtracting this time. So I have the absolute value of 13 is 13. The absolute value of 1 is 1. I'm going to subtract these two and I get 12. First, we're going to find the area because it asks for area and perimeter. The area, if this side is 12, that side's 12. But up here is 23. Area equals length times width. So we're going to take 23 times 12. 23 times 12 equals 276 units squared. And then for perimeter, I'm adding up all the sides. So I have 23 plus 23. And if this side's 12, that side's 12. And I get 70 units. Okay, we're on check understanding and the what do you remember sides. So make sure you are seeing what you need to do, and then you can play the video again in a second to see how you're doing. Okay, let's see how you did on check understanding. What are the area and perimeter of the quadrilateral? And we're going to break it down. First, we have to graph it. So we have -4, -1. I ran backwards to -4 and I fell down to -1. I'm going to go ahead and label it with the ordered pair next to it. So let's look at our second one. I'm going to run backwards to -1 and I'm going to fall to -1. So I have -1, -1. Then I'm going to run backwards to -1 and I'm going to fall all the way down to -5. So -1, -5. Then our last one, I'm going to run to -4, I'm going to fall to -5. Okay, then I need to connect them. So we go here, 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 here. We're going to find the perimeter. Remember, we're not counting, we're actually solving it. So we need to find the distance from here to here and here to here. First, I'm going to do this one. Both of these are -1s, so I'm going to look at the second number. I have a -1 and a -5. The absolute value of -1 is 1. The absolute value of -5 is 5. Now, we are in the same quadrant, meaning we're going to subtract them. So 5 minus 1 equals 4. So if this side is 4, this side is 4. Now let's go from here to here. Or you could go from here to here. Guess what? It's going to be the same thing. So on this one, I'm going to use -4 and -1 because those numbers are different. If I look at the second number, they're both -5s, and that's not going to work for us. The absolute value of -4 is 4. The absolute value of -1 is 1. Remember, we're in the same quadrant, so we're subtracting them. 4 minus 1 equals 3. So if this side is 3, so is this side. I know in actuality, You can count those, so you should know what we are getting before we get there. You do the perimeter, we're going to add up all the sides. So I have 3 plus 3 plus 4 plus 4. So that's 7 plus 7, which is 14. Now to find the area. Area equals length times width on a rectangle. So I'm going to take 3 area equals 3 times 4. So the area equals 12 units squared. And I realize I didn't label this one right here with units. Make sure you're labeling and don't be like me like I just did. What do you remember? Same type of thing. You're going to try it and then hit play so you can go over it to make sure you're doing it correctly. Okay, let's take a look. What is the area of F, G, H, K? So we're looking at this one on the outside. Let's figure out some ordered pairs here so we can do that. So I'm going to find G. I run to 5, I jump to 4. So G is 5, 4. F. I run backwards to -4 and I jump to 4. For K, I run backwards to -4 and I fall to -2. For H, I run forwards to 5 and I fall to -2. And we're finding the area. So that means we're taking area equals length times width. So let's find this out. We're in different quadrants, so we're going to get to add. I'm going to find from F to G. And I notice that my first numbers are different. So the absolute value of -4 is 4. The absolute value of 5 is 5. 5 plus 4 equals 9. So if this side's 9, this side is 9. Now we're going to find from here to here. My first numbers are the same here, so I'm not going to use those. I'm going to use my second ones. The absolute value of this of 4 is 4. The absolute value of -2 is 2. So I'm going to take my 4 plus 2 equals 6. So if this side's 6, this side is 6. We're doing area equals length times width, so we're taking 9 times 6. So area equals 9 times 6. And the area then is 54 units squared. Now let's look at the inside one, because that's what we're going to find next. So if the outside one was 54 units squared and it was bigger, this one has to be smaller. So let's find our ordered pairs. I'm going to run over to 3 and I'm jumping to 3. Let's find R. I run to 3 and I fall down to -1. I'm going to go ahead on this one and I'm going to find my distance here. So I'm not taking the 3's in front because they're both the same. I'm going to look at the second number. So the absolute value of 3 is 3. The absolute value of -1 is 1. I add them together because they're in different ones and I get 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's correct. It's 4 on this side. It's going to be 4 on this side. Find the ordered pair over here. To get over here, I run backwards to -2 and I fall to -1. If I'm looking around here, my -1s, which are the second one, are the same. So I'm going to look at my first numbers. I have a 3 and a -2. The absolute value of -2 is 2. The absolute value of 3 is 3. So I'm going to add those together and I'm going to get 5. So area equals length times width. My numbers are 5 and 4. So 5 times 4 is 20. A equals 20 units squared. Now we're going to have to find the shaded region. So what we're going to do is we're going to take these two and we're going to subtract them. 54 minus 20 equals 34 units squared. And this last question, it only gives you the ordered pairs with the little letter next to it. It does not have a graph to go with it. So we're going to have to visualize things. If you want to make like a little fake little one over to the side, like where you go like this, and you say negative 8, 5 would be about right there, and negative 8, 4, and kind of make it that way so you can see it, that's fine. Or you can just visualize in your head and move on with it. So let's look at the first one. We have a rectangle, and we're finding the area. So I know we're doing area equals length times width. I'm just going to kind of block that off so I can do all of this and get the answer. And over here, I'm going to do all my work. So first I'm going to look from A to B. If I look from A to B, I notice that I have a negative 8 and a negative 8. That's not helping me. But here I have a 5 and a negative 4. So I'm going to find the absolute value of 5, which is 5, and the absolute value of negative 4, which is 4. And I notice that they are in different quadrants because this one is negative positive and this is negative negative. Since they're in different quadrants, I get to add them together. So from A to B, that is 9. So if you're visualizing this in your head, you have an A right here. Negative, negative down here would be B. Positive, negative would be C. And positive, positive would be D. So we just found from here to here. I either want to find from A to D now or B to C. I'm going to go with B to C. And so because I know from A to B, that is 9 because I just found that out. And if this side's 9, this side's 9. I'm going to go from negative 8 to 3 now. Because I want to find from B to C so I can find this length right here. So the absolute value of 8 is 8. The absolute value of 3 is 3. I add that together because they're in different quadrants. They're in different quadrants. You get to add them. That's 11. So I'm finding the area. So if this is 11, this is 11. Area equals length times width. So I'm going to take 9 times 11, which is 99 units squared. And that is it.